And it's just me. I'm here in a lockdown by myself. Gabi has left to, I guess, urinate. Enrique is getting him a glass of water, and I am literally pouring some sort of brown liquid out of a glass bottle that has duct tape on it and 3 X's that Gabi has wrote on. Looks like an old...
I know you didn't just start the podcast without us.
I did.
Wow.
Because I'm meta that way.
All right.
I feel like it's appropriate. Oh my. I have spilt whatever this is on me.
Dang it.
What is it?
Is it just on you?
It's Evan Williams. It's just me.
Okay.
Spilled some Evan Williams on me. It's okay.
Give me the bottle.
Here you go. Take that. Thank you.
Put it back on Gabi's side.
Okay. So we are...
We're here to talk about Nemesis Lockdown, aren't we?
We are. We're going to talk about Nemesis Lockdown. And this is the cold open, I think. This should be the cold open.
I like this cold opening.
I love cold opens. And we used to do these all the time. And Gabi used to put them in the beginning of the show, but then he got Ben Maddox, who is very famous, to do our intro. And now, since then, and Gabi is walking in, and he doesn't realize that we're live.
Oh, wow, you're recording.
We are recording. Hey, Shard.
Chardonnay and whiskey.
Nice. Either way. And ever since he got Ben Maddox to do our intro, he stopped doing cold opens, which, boo. I love Ben Maddox.
I love Ben Maddox.
People think that I'm the English version of Ben Maddox.
I don't believe that.
No, you mean American version?
That's what I said.
He said English.
He said English. He's...
I love Ben Maddox, and Jerry is not the English version.
We have
Jerry's a has-been Maddox, am I right?
Has been Maddox. That's really good. You should be a comedian.
You're listening to the Board Game Snobs podcast, a ridiculous podcast with ridiculous hosts that discuss ridiculous things. And any mention of board games is purely coincidental. And so, without further ado, and with a heavy dollop of shame and embarrassment on my part, I give you the Board Game Snobs.
And go.
Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. This is Jerry.
This is Gabi.
This is Enrique.
And you're in for a treat because we've already recorded another episode. And you know the best episodes are the ones that after we've recorded the first episode.
After we get the rust off that first one.
And we do the next one, we're so much more enjoyable. Why is that?
Because you guys drink and it
Jerry
starts
had a
kicking
few
Wow.
in.
more. What does that mean?
Wow.
So are you saying alcohol is my personality?
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Did you just set that drink on my table?
On this cloth? Yes.
I'll take that back. Our table. Even though I entered the contest and I won it, I consider it our table.
This is
Okay.
the table of love.
That is just water, though. So
Yes.
I guess it's okay.
Well, it's not sweating, so I'm assuming it's okay.
It's lukewarm water. Lukewarm water does not tend to sweat.
Okay,
You're
then
sweating.
we're fine.
Luke Holt warm water.
R.I.P. His
not dead.
But
his-
his
Love life is.
dad's is very cold.
You said R.I.P.
I was saying for him to
Oh my God, I can't win for
I was about to
losing.
make a joke about him
I always say the wrong thing.
Yeah, I was going to try to encourage him. So before everybody knows, Luke Holt was an individual who listens to our podcast, who had us congratulate him because he got engaged, and then now he's not engaged. And Luke, man, you're a good guy, and you should not take advice nor encouragement from random people you don't know on a podcast. But if you do, just realize that if we lived close, probably within 30 minutes of you, we would probably
I would be there supporting you.
take some time.
I'd bring some whiskey.
I would not bring whiskey.
We'd play some games.
I would stop by with a cake of some sort.
What sort of cake?
I really
German chocolate? Because it's from Germany.
that you start this mess. I like lemon. I really like lemon. I like lemon so much. I like Tina Fey. She's not funny.
Liz Lemon?
Liz, please make the joke for me.
Sorry.
Explain it. Because
Sorry.
Luke's not going to get it.
Sorry. I mean, so there's some people that may not. Enrique, Gen Z, do you ever 30 Rock?
No, never heard of it.
Did you know that Baldwin, R.I.P., everybody around him, He too soon. He shot somebody by accident or on a while.
Where are you going with this dark subject matter?
Calm down.
We're about to find out.
While starting shooting a movie, he accidentally shot somebody, and now he's been charged with manslaughter or something. I think.
So how do you...
It's on the news.
Wait, why are we going to that?
Because it's dark.
And
we like dark.
Because some things don't react well to bullets.
Some things.
See, you could have made that joke, but you know why? You're too busy trying to interrupt me, and you're missing the boat.
I did not want to make that joke in this regard.
You should have.
No, we were already going into the dark path. So we
I'm
make
not
dark
talking
jokes.
about him killing someone.
Accidentally.
Hey, this is PG.
Accidentally.
Calm down, both of you.
Did you know science claims?
Hang on, Luke Holt.
Oh, wait.
Holt.
Hold on.
Hold on.
My bad.
That's funny. Hold on.
I'm sure we made that before.
No, we haven't. That's a new joke.
Really?
Write it down. Hold on.
Okay.
Another euphemism. We love euphemisms.
Euphemism?
We love euphemisms
I'm writing
here.
down. Hold on. Wait.
Hold on.
Hold on. It's in the archives.
Rondale.
Oh, God.
We do the Rondale thing.
Okay.
We like to have fun here.
Oh, God dang it.
We have a lot of euphemisms.
Zonka.
That died a long time ago. R.I.P.
No, it's like in the first 3 episodes.
That was bad. The Harvard.
You know what? I think I do remember that.
Red line.
Zonka.
Anyways. Okay, stop that,
Okay.
please. Stop
I got you.
So,
It's
anyway,
in the archives.
hold on.
Sorry, we don't have a Marcus Brisman. Brandon Hayes was doing all that, and then he gave up.
Or Brandon.
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 Brandan.
Got him.
Bondin?
But Luke, you know, I would if we lived next door, I'd bring you over a nice lemon cake. We would discuss just life. But unfortunately, we don't. We live a long ways away. Maybe you need to come to Board Game Geek Con or something.
He said he might.
We need to.
Now that he's free.
Will you stop?
I didn't even mean to laugh. I did not. He just... Luke, you know what? I communicate with Luke via DMs.
You slide into.
We have a one-on-one conversation.
You both have diabetes? What? I don't understand. What
No,
are DMs?
he's actually direct message.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. On the Facebook.
Have you ever heard of the golden ratio?
I have.
What does that mean?
He was the admiral, the British admiral.
No, that's whore ratio. Anyway, there's a ratio called the golden ratio. And basically, they just do measurements of your face of how symmetrical it is, not asymmetrical.
Which is beauty.
Did you know that, like, most people's eyes are, like, way off kilter and their ears and all that stuff,
They're
right?
cockeyed, as some say,
Right.
here in the South.
Rooster-eyed. Rooster Cockburn.
He had one eye, though.
He was just one eye.
Mm-hmm, he was.
He was cockeyed.
And he was from McAllister, Oklahoma. Was where he that on the show. That's where they were at.
Really?
Yeah, don't give me.
A little further north than where you hail from.
Okay, get done with your point, because then I'm about to rock your world.
So, according to the golden ratio, science claims Chris Hemsworth is the second most handsome man.
Who's the first? And why is it Benedict Cumberbatch?
No, I would like to get this guy's name right.
Say it, please.
But he's from Bridgerton.
I don't know where that's at.
It's a TV show on Netflix.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Roger Jean Page. That guy. He's from Bridgerton. He was the love interest in Bridgerton. Roger Jean Page.
That's a great name.
It's an awesome name, and he is freaking gorgeous.
I like how you showed me his picture, and instead of showing me his face, you
it's
showed me
just his
a
body.
topless.
No, it's his body.
Picture. That's just it.
Roger Jean Page. Apparently, he is the most symmetrical. He scored the closest with 93.65%. Chris Hemsworth, 93.53%. And I saw this article, and they did it on the females as well. And apparently, Bella Hadid is the most golden ratio.
I don't know
person.
who Bella Hadid is.
She's just a model. She's an Insta model.
I don't know any of the models.
Me
I don't really follow the fashion world. I'm excited to announce, and you commented on it.
You got an announcement?
I own a hoodie now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this thing, right?
Yes, I have never owned a hoodie in my life.
I'm used to you in khakis and a button-up shirt.
Same. And this color is called heather, by the way. It's not
gray.
It's not gray. It's called heather.
It's gray.
Is it because there's white mixed in?
Correct.
Oh,
Not just me, but there's actually the hue. So at work, they often will buy shirts.
Hugh Jackman?
Mm-hmm. And they asked, like, what would you want? And I made the comment, like, I don't own a hoodie. I've never worn a hoodie. I don't know what I would do.
You said, I'll let Hugh decide.
And they did. They purchased me a hoodie.
Heather.
And they chose heather as the color because they said that it's lighter than khaki. Like, I always wear khaki. And so, I've worn it for the first time.
Birds of a heather.
I have felt more free today than I have ever in my life.
Because I noticed underneath your heather-hued hoodie, hashtag alliteration, you have a t-shirt.
Yes, because I didn't know what to wear underneath
your usual button-up and or polo is not being worn.
I've never played the game, but I represent.
You're very casual today. I feel like you feel relaxed.
10 years came off my life when I put on that hoodie.
What kind of pants are you wearing right now? You wearing khakis?
No, these are just, what are these called? These aren't khakis. They're kind of a brown.
Look under the table.
They're
it's
just
like an army green or something.
They're an olive drab.
Olive drab. Yeah.
I'm sad that I know that.
I'm sure that's on dockers.com.
But anyways, so I've been feeling younger. Is what I've tried to say. This hoodie makes me feel like... So I walked into the library today because I was going into the genealogy department. And as I'm walking in, the parking lot's quite large, and sometimes there are...
what library? Where?
Hugo.
It's pretty good. Okay, very small town.
There are sometimes...
Not a large parking lot, I guarantee you.
Which, fun fact, Hugo is named after Victor Hugo, the French novelist. Really? Yes. And you didn't know that, did you?
Les Miserables.
And often...
Everyone that lives in Hugo is miserable.
Everybody is. They have a diner called the Circus Diner.
Whoa, now.
And I know you love the chicken. What is it? The wings? Or not the tenders?
I can't even think about it right now, but I know I love that place.
Okay. Here's the thing. Oh, it's bad. Anyways, so I went to the library, and often there are young people in the parking lot that are, how would I describe? Ruffians, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Hoodlums. Hoodie-lums.
And normally, they do not, they're doing something like real, like skateboarding or something real,
hoodlum activities.
Yeah,
how dare you get on wheels.
Graffiti and something, I don't know. But
probably casting lots before me.
But when I walked by them, I could tell they were like, is this one of us?
Because you were wearing a hoodie.
I was wearing a hoodie. Is that Tony Hawk's cousin? Who knows? It could be.
Tony Hawk's cousin that possibly works in a laboratory somewhere?
It could be. That's Anthony Fern. You don't know. Like that could be. So anyways, why I was going to the library, you asked, which you didn't ask, but you should have asked to move the story along. Thank you for paying attention. I recently moved. As you well know, you've not been to my home. You've been in my home when I wasn't in my home, but you haven't come to my home.
Your wife was there and she showed me around.
But I haven't there. Anyways, so I have moved. And now, because of an arrangement with my in-laws and various people, the property that I now own a ghost town.
Touché.
A town that no longer exists.
But once did. A town that had a railroad that ran through it. So, several buildings I have found on said property, such as a church, various other buildings, that I have begun to slowly go, I'd like to know more. This people used to live here. I need to find out. And down the rabbit hole I have gone. These people used to live here.
So, I have been gone to look up the newspaper articles there at the library that are the digital reels.
Does this involve microfiche?
It does. Microfiche.
Oh God, I always wanted to do microfiche.
I have been. So you know the little glass thing that you put over papers and pictures and you stare through them? Have you done that?
No.
I've done that.
I'm not Nancy Drew or the Hardy Boys.
Did that. And you know what happened? What do you think happened?
I don't. You've cut. I don't know where we're at.
I had to cut everything because you kept going crazy. You don't even remember.
I don't know where we're at right now.
Talking about Tony Hawk and looking through eyeglasses. You've ruined my story. You killed it. You killed my story.
Sorry, that was a long story, and I lost interest.
You kept. I know it's the most interesting story ever, and you're just sitting here.
We talked about Clive Cussler. I remember that.
No, I didn't talk about Clive Cussler. You always go into
not Clive
Cussler.
Custer.
You always
Clive
go into
Cussler.
Nobody cares to be corrected because nobody cares about him.
Because you're angry because I lost interest in your story.
No,
don't come at me.
You just weren't paying attention. You didn't lose interest. You weren't paying attention.
That's literally the definition of losing interest.
No, it's
I don't
not.
pay
It is
attention.
not. Oh, it is
You're
not.
going on about this story.
It
about
is not the definition of losing interest.
Well, then don't address me. Address Enrique.
I already know the story, like I said.
And was it riveting?
I'm not gonna lie, you were telling it to my parents while I was sleeping.
But you didn't hear it then.
I did hear it.
But it was good, wasn't it?
I caught parts of it.
Okay, so you weren't paying attention.
I got the
But
end.
you didn't lose the interest.
See, okay, here's the thing. You think it's riveting interesting because it concerns you. That was a very long story. I lost interest. I tuned out. Enrique. Which, I mean, Enrique is Riche. So you've literally asked Enrique, and he says you were talking to his parents. He didn't listen either.
No. I didn't say I didn't listen to it.
Okay.
I caught some parts of it.
Because I wasn't talking to him.
That were important.
He wasn't talking.
I caught parts that were important.
So if someone's talking to you and they begin to lose interest and glaze over, that means either the story does not interest them.
Okay.
Or, and no, that's on me. I get it.
Yes,
I was a bad listener.
You're a bad listener.
I was a bad listener.
You're a terrible listener.
No, that's a bunch of bullcrap.
No, you're a
I was a
terrible
bad
listener
listener in this scenario because you're talking about your land and money and lost treasure and microfiche, which I like the microfiche because that's in the movies.
That's okay. So I'm going to be meta for a minute. Can I? Just to inform you.
Please go
because
ahead.
You're always meta. So
I'm very meta. I love meta. You hate meta.
I had to cut out like 20 minutes of this podcast because Gobby got bored.
You're welcome, listeners.
Of literally talking about how there's nothing like besides.
Wait, that was 20 minutes?
I feel like I've really hurt your feelings.
You have.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
I'm hurt.
No.
I'm hurt.
No.
I don't think I've ever hurt your feelings, but Jerry's really upset that I did not listen to the story.
I'm incredibly upset.
I'm sorry.
Here's the deal.
I didn't know it meant so much to you, and I'm sorry.
I'm just listen. Okay.
Literally, we recorded a bunch of stuff.
No.
I was tuned out.
We didn't record a bunch of stuff. I talked to tell a very riveting story about buried treasure that happens to be on my land and gunfights and microfilm.
And I doxed you, and you cut that out, which makes sense because you don't want people treasure hunting on your land. I get it.
And you wouldn't pay attention, and you're drawing, and you're not paying because I cannot believe this is the man who calls me to tell me about freaking podcast about what's that improv, and I'm talking about actual interesting things.
Well, so here's the thing. That goes into what makes us unique as people.
No, it doesn't. It does
like
not.
Buried treasure. I like improv. If you had made that story somewhat more humorous, maybe I would have been more engaged.
That's insane.
Enrique?
Absolutely insane.
So, are you saying that you can only listen to things that are slightly
get him, Enrique,
humorous in a certain way without it being
not
just
humorous, but engaging?
Tell him he's immature.
Well,
I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, he does mean to interrupt you.
I did mean to, but
he does all the time.
I realized I did it, and now I'm apologizing. Please continue to speak.
He's still interrupting you.
But but if you're saying that we had 20 minutes of you talking about buried treasure, you did a very long build-up.
10 minutes. Okay, listen. Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you.
Like 10 minutes.
I'm going to explain something to you.
It's a good length for a story.
Can I tell you something here? Let me listen.
I'm not going to deny there are people that would be riveted by what you said.
Riveted.
You're talking about ghost towns and dead people and stuff on your land and old stuff. I hate that crap.
But you read
and I don't
clustered.
Don't you talk about Clive Custer?
I'm just saying, you read. It's a similar thing. And that's all right. First off,
okay. Well, hey, he's a professional writer.
Can I bring up something?
Maybe you should bring up your game.
Can I bring up something?
Go ahead.
I'm pointing out that it's very similar to something he writes, and that
it was. And now did you say that? Yes, I agree.
And it is one of the dumbest response ever to don't talk about somebody. That's stupid. That is a dumb response.
Well, you're hurt because we didn't like your story.
I am hurt. We've acknowledged that.
Me and Enrique.
We've acknowledged that.
Me and Enrique have both acknowledged we kind of tuned you out.
When I find that buried treasure, screw you guys. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give me a quality co-host.
Dirt Pit, here you go.
Now I got a question. Clyde,
clustered.
It was about a book, right?
Yeah, he writes books.
Okay, well, technically, Gabi's engaging himself and telling him.
Yeah, Gabi does engage himself all the time. That's all he does.
He's telling that story to himself by just reading it, while
quick.
You're engaging, telling him the story.
I'm going to find that buried treasure, and it's going to be me and Matthew McConaughey.
So here's the thing, and because you're over there doing the computer and I'm over here, I have no idea where you actually stopped and then restarted the podcast. So I'm completely lost.
And go.
We're in the beginning. Nemesis Lockdown. Go, Jerry.
Go, Jerry. This Matthew.
Well, okay, so here's the.
How you been,
So
Jerry?
we were discussing Jerry's ghost town.
Matthew would never interrupt me.
Jerry's ghost town lost treasure for quite a while. And the whole time I'm thinking, when are we going to get to Nemesis?
So we had to cut out a lot of me talking about something incredibly fascinating that our listeners will just have to join the Discord.
You know what? Make your own podcast.
All right. Now, I'm sorry.
Jerry's
was
lost
it 10
treasures.
minutes or 20 minutes?
It was 10 minutes. Okay, it was 10 minutes. 10, maybe 15.
He lied.
15 on the long side.
Okay.
Go ahead there, Jerry. Go ahead there. We are fighting.
Jerry's very upset because
Come in here.
her name is Chardonnay, not shard, like a piece of glass.
Chardonnay, much like Chardonnay.
Can I ask you something?
What up?
If I were to tell you a story about Clyde Cussler, the guy who writes these various books that, remember Sierra, the show with...
he literally can't say anything right.
With Matthew McConaughey.
Sorry, I know I've seen the movie. Unfortunately, I have not heard of the author.
Would you like for me to recount one of his books to you?
No.
Okay. What now? Instead of that,
no.
I know, because he's stupid. He writes very grand books.
That's not why I said no. I said no because I don't have any knowledge. So it's like one of those things where I'm like, I don't care, but I'll look it up later, that kind of thing.
So if you had the option of me talking about Clive Cussler or me taking about 10 minutes and explaining to you that I now own a ghost town, a cemetery, and that there's $250,000 buried in a safe about 30 feet from my house, what would you rather hear about?
No, if you'd have made that...
No, stop. No. Stop interrupting me. What would you rather hear? Huh? Anything?
It was like a 20-minute story, and it was taking
What would you rather hear? Because in Gabi, huh?
Okay.
Enrique was doing that as well.
Hey, what would you rather hear?
So you're asking me if
you want to hear a story about old stuff?
What would you rather hear?
I feel like I shouldn't be a part of this argument.
Then leave if you're not going to support me.
I'm leaving. I can't support you, Jerry, because I don't want to be...
I am surrounded by ingrates and people who do not understand nor appreciate buried treasure.
Now that
I don't want to be subjective here because Gabi's my best friend.
That's true. You can't help but be subjective because you don't like hearing long stories about old stuff. Go ahead.
We should probably just move on to Nemesis Lockdown.
This has been one of the greatest. You're going to have to turn me back up. Or
I've turned you up. I've turned you as high as I can.
So this has been one of the greatest podcasts that possibly no one will ever hear because I don't think I've never hurt Jerry's feelings. in all of our years of podcasting.
I have no feelings.
You don't have no feelings.
I was trying to express some interest about something that was very important.
Yeah, I think he cut out.
This is a first for me. I think Jerry's really hurt.
I think he cut out the part where he just slams on your laptop.
No, he did. He smashed the stop button on recording and said, "Are you not interested?
Are you not entertained?"
And I was like, "No, I'm not."
I am so. All right, not to be meta, but I did slap the laptop.
We're always meta.
I did slap the laptop and yell, "Are you not entertained?"
It was
because you were scribbling and not paying attention.
I think I actually see the fingerprints on the space bar.
I filled in this whole corner, just scribbling while Jerry was talking about his buried treasure somewhere on his property.
Okay.
And I kept jokingly, I was like, "Oh, where you live?" And I said the name of his town, and Jerry kept getting really angry. He's like, "Stop doxing me." I'm like, but then he's like, "There's buried treasure somewhere." So then I was like, "Oh, okay." So now I finally realize, I guess he doesn't want people showing up trying to dig up gold somewhere. It is kind of interesting, Clive Cussler style, there's some ancient buried treasure on Jerry's land of Ghost Town.
I am
the way you went on with the story was rather boring to me.
It was building up. Okay. Do you not like build up?
I need a synopsis. Look, I'm in the land of TikTok. You give it to me quick.
I enjoy a long build up. I like my stories long and slow simmering.
And I can appreciate that.
And you do appreciate that about me.
I can appreciate a long build-up.
What else do you appreciate me about me, Squirrely Dan? Tell me.
But we're also trying to have talk about Nemesis as well.
All right.
So,
all right. Okay. I keep hearing about Nemesis. What is okay?
How dare we talk about a board game on this podcast?
Okay, I get it. All right, I will say.
Wait, have we discussed the two bits and a knock or whatever?
Okay, listen. I'm just going to say this. Everybody just stop for a moment.
God.
Let me say my piece.
Let's take a breather. This podcast has been crazy.
I'm going to go on to Nemesis, but let me just say this. I would like for our listeners to just think back and realize that I tolerated, and I say tolerated, that's probably the stronger word, Gabi reading from a newspaper article and pre-written jokes regarding people dying in fecal matter 2 episodes ago, and also various other, I don't even know where to go in terms of what I have sat and paid rapt attention to from various newspaper articles or stories or puns or things that he has come up with, but yet, the one time really? I tried to tell a story about something that is real, something that could be interesting, and yet this is where we're at. But that's fine, because this is going to help us segue into what I feel like is a very nice narrative game that we will now transition. I'm calm.
All right, okay.
I've calmed down. I will admit, I
didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
You didn't hurt my feelings. You didn't hurt my feelings.
I did.
You may listen. It shocked. So don't even get me. Don't even get me going. Don't even get me going.
Look.
No, that's fine.
No, wait. I love you.
I know you do.
I did not mean to hurt your feelings by tuning you out and scribbling on my page as you talked about this buried treasure.
Because here...
I did that. You love history.
Okay.
I hate it.
Okay.
That's a stupid thing to say. But when people start doing historical podcasts, I kind of tune out. Which is weird unless they do here's a weird quirky thing that happened, which the Erfurt latrine disaster... That's historical, right?
And
60 people died in excrement.
In contrast, I listened to an 18-hour podcast by Dan Carlin on Genghis Khan. So
I just read about him. Did you know that 1 in every 200 men is related to Genghis Khan?
You just
Okay, so Nemesis Lockdown by Adam Kwapinski.
Nemesis Lockdown,
Jerry, I love you.
Is a game.
I just want that to be known.
That is the sequel to Nemesis. Some of us have Nemesis. Some of us don't.
Arch Nemesis.
Nemesis Lockdown took place on a ship. We played Nemesis Lockdown, which takes place on Mars.
You said Nemesis Lockdown takes place on a ship. Nemesis takes place on a ship. Nemesis Lockdown takes place on Mars. Go ahead.
Thank you for correcting me. I sit corrected.
I really love you. Like, you're one of my best friends.
In Nemesis Lockdown.
And I hope that comes through on this podcast.
You play one of the various people in an underground facility that has been or is being invaded by various xenomorphs or alien type beings. In this game, you are exploring the base, flipping hexagonal tiles to discover various rooms that allow you to do certain actions and abilities while trying to complete personal objectives. This game can be played co-op, semi-co-op, or just in a way solo, or in the general way of playing the game for which you may be out to harm the other players. You're trying to find safe haven in this base and lock yourself down and wait for help, or escape the base by either ejecting yourself into space via an escape pod, or perhaps locking yourself in a secure bunker, all while you're being chased by various blood-sucking aliens. This game plays 1 to 5 players. It is very long, overproduced, and quite frankly, one of the funnest games I've played in a long time. It is because it allows the players to engage in a style of gameplay that is very similar to an RPG, where, yes, it's quite heavy, it's quite complicated, but at the same time, if you have one person, who I like to refer to as perhaps the Jerry of the group, that will commit to learning the game and thus handling all the heavy lifting and the rules explaining so that the other players don't have to worry about all the minutia of the game.
God bless you.
The rest of the players can just focus on saying, I want to do this. And that person can then just facilitate it going, okay, well, now you need to roll this dice and this happens and so forth and so on. The game is very interesting in what it tries to do, but it is heavily dependent on the players to wrap themselves up into this alien type game and really sort of just enjoy the journey, because this game commits a few sins.
Don't stop believing.
Some of the sins are player elimination. It tries to rectify this by allowing when a first player gets killed, the game kind of speeds up a little bit by now facilitating the rapid movement to allow the players to exit the facility a little bit quicker. It also has some turns where you're just trying to barely figure out what you're going to do. Like you're locked into an area and you need to go here, but there's no real good choice. So you're trying to figure out what should I do. And then it kind of leads you down a path of, I'm just going to have to just roll the dice and hope for the best. And a lot of the game is based on dice, whether it be your movement through the facility, which is depicted by you rolling a dice and then seeing what little sound noise markers you place out there. And kind of like an epidemic style type thing. If you put too many noise markers in some area, a alien appears to kill you. And the combat is handled through dice rolls and cards and so forth.
An outbreak of aliens, you might say.
Yes. This game fascinated me. I always wanted to play it. It was too expensive. I didn't buy it. I happened to find it and bought it on a whim at BGG. I don't regret it. I have enjoyed painting it. I'm sorry, Brian. I will get back onto Scythe. Very sorry. My dearest apologies. You are next in line. I promise you, I will not forsake you.
What about my Project Elite guys? Come on, Jerry.
You can just burn.
I love buried treasure in Oklahoma. I trust me.
Anyways, this game was really good. Okay. I love Alien. I love Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney.
I love the name Sigourney.
Sigourney.
Nobody names their child Sigourney.
Sigourney. Like, who did that?
Why?
Who did that? Like, how?
Why?
How'd that even come about?
Sigourney?
Like, they just threw up like a bunch of Scrabble letters and then let them fall, and Sigourney came out.
You talk.
I've never heard of Sigourney besides Weaver
just listen,
in my life.
Just words go out of your mouth. You speak on this while I look something up. Something came to mind just now.
Oh, okay. So you're throwing it to me.
This is me indicating with my hand gesture that now it's your turn to speak.
Okay. You don't have to get so upset and angry.
Do you happen to know how to spell Sigourney?
Sigurny.
My God, your spelling ability is beyond that of a truck driver.
When I was in 5th grade, I won my curriculum contest, spelling contest of Marcurtain County. Thank you very much.
Please tell me more. This is riveting.
Gold medal winner here. I've been spelling good since I was 12 years old.
And he also has the box in front of him, so I'm assuming that.
Do you think Sigourney Weaver is spelled on Nemesis Lockdown anywhere?
Who knows? Maybe.
No, it is not. They actually cannot even acknowledge that they got this game from aliens, because their aliens are not even the same looking. Go ahead.
Stop.
Go ahead.
Stop. You need to know this. You who purport to be of movie knowledge.
Okay, go ahead.
Sigourney Weaver was born one Susan Alexander Weaver.
Susan?
Her family moved to San Francisco briefly. Later, they moved to Connecticut.
San Francisco, hate that game.
In 1963, she changed her name to Sigourney after the character Sigourney Howard in F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby. In her own birth name, Susan was in honor of her mother's best friend, explorer Susan Pretzelic. I don't know who that is. She changed her name.
So Susan B. Anthony could have been Sigourney B. Anthony.
So she just Sigourney.
She just did it. She's like, hey, I'm not Susan. I'm not Susan. I'm Sigourney. Sigourney? Sigourney. I'm going to go with Sigourney. Nemesis Lockdown is one of those games, like Jerry said. Without Jerry, I would never play this game.
That's right.
Never, ever, ever, ever in 1,000 years would I play this game without a Jerry. A Jerry. I'm putting you in a class of people. That people being...
There's not many Jerrys.
There's not many Jerrys.
Besides all the Germans. But most of them died in fecal matter, according to our previous podcast.
Erfurt.
Furt de Gert. Remember that guy on the Muppets? Remember that guy, the chef?
The Swedish chef? So, Nemesis
did you watch the Muppets? You look like a Muppet.
Oh, thanks.
Now he's,
I watched some of the
casting
Muppets.
aspersions upon you as a Muppet.
I remember a couple of the movies that came out.
Favorite Muppet? Go.
Gonzo.
You're wrong. Go.
It's been so long.
Kermit and Miss Piggy.
I'm a disgrace.
Worthless.
I can't say
I'm a Gonzo guy because he's the funny guy.
Yeah, I can't say Kermit because it's a basic.
I go funny in every situation, improv, whatever it is. I'm just funny.
There's no such thing as funny improv. Gonzo
is an absolute idiot.
Idiot.
Did you like Robin Williams?
He's not improv.
Are you?
No, he's not improv. That's not improv.
Okay, you may have been angered before.
That's not
You're
improv.
fixing to anger me.
Yeah, that's not improv. Sorry.
What do you think Robin Williams... Okay.
The right answer is Fonzie Bear.
Waka Waka, the comedian?
That Fonzie Bear is basically you. He has the same sense of humor. Waka Waka, Zoinka Zoinka.
Very good.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but you don't like him.
But Gonzo's funny.
Gonzo's not funny. Gonzo is a tragic character. He is.
I don't disagree.
He's tragic.
I don't disagree.
You know who?
But he is funny.
Tragic?
He's tragically hilarious.
But do you know who my favorite? You know who my favorite character is? If you don't get this right,
Monster.
I hate that guy. Favorite character.
Your favorite character.
Think. Use your brain.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, you know what? I'm not a big Muppets guy.
Beaker.
Oh my god!
This guy.
Oh my god!
Because he's brilliant. Nobody else understands him. And the other guy.
You relate to Beaker. I get it. Okay.
The other guy that was always bringing the paper.
Okay, I may be Fozzie Bear, but I want to be Gonzo.
Okay.
I freaking love Gonzo, especially in Muppet Tiny Town.
Sigourney.
Tiny Muppets, whatever they were called.
Sigourney, the name of the French origin meaning daring king.
Look at Sigourney claiming that. Look at her.
Boom.
You go, queen. Even though it means king. Okay, Nemesis Lockdown.
What?
Is a... Is that the game we're talking about?
I loved it.
Nemesis Lockdown. Look who's interrupted now.
Sorry, go ahead.
Without a Jerry, aka a person that knows the game, even knowing the game, still referring to the rule book. This was our first game. It's going to be one of those games. You're just constantly looking at the rule book to figure out what the crap is going on. It doesn't matter. If you are a gaming group or a gaming person that can get into the theme of this game, basically aliens, you're on Mars, and depending on your objective, at the beginning of the game, you're given 2 objectives. 1, basically you can cooperate. You work with the team. Or 2, you can frack everybody. You're rooting for yourself. Generally, it's like you're trying to kill this person, be the only survivor type thing. When the first alien pops out, you have to choose which one of those you're going to go with and then discard the other one. In this game, I went the selfish route. My goal... Surprise. My goal was to kill Enrique.
Which is not far from the truth.
This came about in a hilarious fashion in which I thought I had control of a certain room that I did not have control of. And without playing the game, it's not, you can't even hardly describe it. But basically, I thought I could vent Enrique out into space, but I chose the wrong room. I vented the room next to him.
He opened the window.
And Enrique's like looking out the window saying, well, that's interesting. That room went out into space. And I'm like, oh, I thought that was Enrique's room. So I outed myself. I outed my objective very early.
Which is hilarious.
It was humorous. That can happen in this game. Jerry, unbeknownst to himself, thought he had chosen the work along with everybody objective. But he had actually kept the selfish corporate objective, which was to kill me.
So this game does. There's. I'm always fascinated by rules in games, which to me are I say it's very obvious, but they're games that I feel like came about because of well done playtesting. So obviously, every game I've ever played, here's your objectives, pick an objective, so forth and so on. And this game, it does something very odd, which stands out to me, which is you're given 2 objectives, but don't pick one right away. You play the game for several rounds until the first alien appears. And then when that first alien appears, now, since the game is kind of developed, you can pick one of these objectives.
Which makes sense because by that time you have certain rooms probably discovered.
Correct. So you can kind of look and go, well, this is what's going on. And so you have generally this personal objective, which can be quite vicious, up to the fact of be the only survivor, or or another objective like a corporate objective that's be the only survivor, or a personal objective that's like go here, get this egg, do this thing that really you don't need to worry about anybody else, or even it might even connect with somebody else, saying have a buddy, you can't be the only survivor, have somebody else survive as well. So during the game, because I was so intense about trying to keep the rules lined out, when that time came to select an objective, I thought to myself, I'm always the guy. I'm always that guy. I'm always the backstabber. I'm always the guy who's aggressive. I'm going to pick get the egg, the queen egg, and get it off the planet.
The community one.
I'm not going to be vicious. For some reason, something happened. I don't know. But during the talk, I discarded, without looking, the card that I thought was the right one, and then completely just proceeded to play for the next several rounds being the guy of like supporting Gabi. So it's like, let's get on the elevator. I'll bring the elevator up. Let's go down here. And then something occurred where Gabi did something, which was try to kill Enrique, which generally is my move, which prompted me to be like, okay, what was my objective again? And when I flipped my objective up, to my horror, it's like, oh, I should kill everybody. And so this weird dichotomy took place where I legitimately thought for half the game, I'm trying to help everybody. Then all of a sudden I look at this card and go, oh, everyone must die. Mm-hmm. And so poor Enrique, and to this game's credit, it does what a lot of games like this want the players to experience, which is a story. Mm-hmm. I love a game that naturally, because of how it just lays itself out, it produces a story. And just off the top of my head, Robinson Crusoe is a game that produces a story. I really love that game. I never recommend it because it's too complicated. Star Wars Rebellion is one of the best 2-player games ever made. It produces a story. Zaya, also Legend of the Drift System, deep game, hard to find. Excellent story. I laugh every time I think about it. There are certain games that just lend themselves to producing a story. I was really hoping Nemesis Lockdown would be just that, and it did. Because when we selected our characters, Enrique picked a character that starts off in a different part of the system. And Enrique, for some reason, just out of absent-mindedness, didn't turn on the power generator, did nothing to help us.
Missed his objective.
And kind of just... Now, to the point of, now all of a sudden, after he suffered so much, Gabi then inadvertently reveals, I'm trying to kill you, which was hilarity. And then after Gabi tries to kill Enrique, using computers to lock doors and cause stuff to happen, Enrique very... just cinematically just dies walking down a corridor trying to get away from an alien.
I basically beat up a preteen teenager and then
alien.
A few aliens.
Let's make that clear. A xenomorph.
Listen. Keep what you do on the weekend to yourself.
And then I just go down a couple corridors down, and then next thing I know, its father is right behind it, ready to just mass murder me.
So I tried to vent Enrique, which you can do. If you go into this certain control room, you can lock a room down and vent the person if they have no actions left. At the end of the turn, it's a whole phase situation. That person would get basically cast into space.
Which is hilarious.
I was unaware because of the iconography of the game. There are certain rooms that lead to these certain, what was those tunnels called?
The technical tunnels.
Technical tunnels. I did not know what those looked like. I was unaware that the room that Enrique was in did not have a technical tunnel. And I said, I'm going to vent Enrique's room. And they were like, why are you going to do that? And I'm like, I want him dead.
Which is...
Well, Enrique's room did not have a technical tunnel. So I ended up just basically outing myself as to my objective, which was very humorous. And we produced this story of like, I vented the room next to Enrique. Enrique's looking at that room like, I wonder why Gabi vented that room all of a sudden. And I'm like, oh, I thought that's where Enrique was. So I outed myself very quickly as to my objective. And it really didn't affect my game because my objectives, each objective card has one objective or this objective. My first one was kill the number one player, which was Enrique, or simply be the last surviving character, which I ended up being.
As everybody know, venting people is hilarious. Please refer to season 1 through 4 of Battlestar Galactica. But in this game, Enrique played the survivor. What was it?
The lab rat.
So this person who's already injured. Gabi was the janitor.
The art on this game is fantastic.
I
love the grizzly beard. I was smoking a cigarette. And there's a character in movies that I cannot think of the actor's name, but I just envision myself. I'm just this old janitor, and I basically killed everybody and made out alive, just being just old crusty janitor.
Right. Because
fantastic.
I am the hacker. And so in this game, as we're running around at the very last, it basically boils down to Gabi has decided to start the self-destruct sequence of blowing up the base. And Gabi and I have completely ignored the fact that this base is burning down. So there's fire markers, kind of like Pandemic when things are just catching fire, or Flashpoint more.
Flashpoint more like
and so we were running through the fire, racing each other from various ends.
You shut down the elevator.
So,
I couldn't use the elevator.
So in what the smoothest move that I thought, I'm going to vent this room and let Gabi know I'm going to kill him. So I lock the room down to vent Gabi, and I just look over him very slyly. I'm like,
you close the door.
I shut the doors. I'm like, you're going to die. And Gabi's like, well, I'm the janitor. I'm like, I have the keys to all the doors. So literally, thematically, in our minds, it's like the door's shut, and I'm on like the PA system going, I'll see you later. Like thinking and then Gabi just like unlocks the door. I'm like, what are you doing?
I got a key, bruh.
And then the alien that's in the room with Gabi, he proceeds to piece together a flamethrower, shoot said alien, and scare the alien into the room with me. So now we're in this run where we're running from opposite directions. And as Gabi's running towards the elevator, I'm running into this other room. I activate this computer and I shut the power off to the elevator and just look at Gabi like, Gotcha.
It was a good move.
It's a good move.
I really thought I was dead at that point.
So now he's climbing up through the station, and I'm running the long way around, and we end up in this weird area where we're at the surface.
It was a Mexican standoff.
No, that requires 3 people.
Oh,
and Enrique was already dead. That joke was fired.
Oh.
Thank you for that. Either way, as we're running to the top of the building to get into the rover to get to the bunker so that the base is about to blow up.
It was a clank situation of we were just running for the exit.
And as we get to the top, Gobby beats me there somehow. The janitor is just
janitor, that crusty old janitor. Don't mess with him.
And as everybody knows, IT is incompetent. So as I'm running with my hacker, I decide, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run into the room where Gobby's at, and I hope I make a lot of noise, and I trigger an alien, and then maybe he'll just kill him. So as I pop into this room, I trigger it, I get the roll I need, and now the alien's in the room with us. You pull from this bag, and it is either from something from like an adult alien or a larva or a queen, and I'm thinking this is going to be a horror. And I draw the smallest piglet alien that has ever existed that I have no other cards, because the actions of the game is you play a card, you do the card. If it costs something, you discard the cards to equal that cost. So I have no other moves, and Gobby literally punches the alien to death. And the option is now he gets into the rover, drives it to the base, and I'm in a room that's on fire. So now that Gobby is secure, I decide I've got to do something. I search the room. I find a fire blanket. I put out the fire, and I'm in the launch pad, and I'm sitting here going, all I have to do is wait. And if this token flips over and it happens to be your escape pod ejects, I'm going to win. And to my horror, again, because I was so obsessed with the game, my hacker is able to have this information to look ahead and see what's going on. And I looked wrong. The last little chit in the game was the one that launched the pod that I was in, and not this one. And because Gobby activated the self-destruct system, the base was going to blow up now. And the one that I flipped over was nothing. And so essentially, I'm sitting in the escape pod waiting for it to launch. Nothing launches, and the base blows up while Gobby drives a rover across the surface of Mars.
I had set off the auto destruct.
Yes, which was amazing.
And so then I was like, okay, so then I got to run out of here. And all these aliens triggered, fires were everywhere.
This is amazing.
This game.
This is an amazing experience.
Was one of the most best thematic experiences I've had in a game, and you said it, since probably Star Wars Rebellion.
I was just about to ask you. The only other time I've ever seen you jump up from a table and run around was Star Wars Rebellion. And that was legitly, even though I was on the losing side, I remember that game of it being, I cannot believe I lost this game. And I remember being just enthralled by the fact that as the Empire, I'm blowing up planets, and I've got you on the ropes, and I just wipe out your fleet, and one X-Wing with Leia in it blows up the Death Star, and that's it. And you jumped up from the table and literally just ran around your house.
It was absolutely, and I've discussed this in a podcast we have yet to release where we played an RPG called 10 Candles. We played it and then we talked about it, but it's, I don't know whether we're going to
release it. Who cares?
Yeah, we may release it just as a bonus episode.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
There's a bunch of people talking.
You were in it.
There's a bunch of people talking.
Well, people talk. That's what podcasts are.
But as far as games that bring about thematic elements, I have not been this invested, this excited. Now, I did say I won.
You won.
So that really does help add to it, because Enrique lost. He was out. He died. Enrique, how did you feel as a person that died in this game watching the rest of it unfold?
I still loved it.
Okay.
I love I punched an alien.
See, for me, I feel like that would suck. You did. And that's the thing. Like, Enrique actually killed several aliens. I killed several and then ran several off. This game was freaking amazing as far as theme.
May I remind you that Twilight Imperium, our first Twilight Imperium game, Enrique chased you too.
Yes.
And yet you still enjoyed that game.
I ranked that very high after that.
And so it really is just, it goes to show that a game that will tell a solid narrative and give an experience, you can forgive some of the flaws. And The flaws in this game is that player elimination, which it tries to settle by moving the game along a little bit quicker, and the fact that really a lot of it is just rolling a dice and it being a little bit random, but at the same time, it is not only the artwork. So somebody really does. Somebody knew what they were doing on the artwork.
It's amazing.
The game designer, which from what I understand, the first Nemesis was a little more complicated than Lockdown. I did not have any issue with this game. And I will compliment the rulebook. It's good. The rulebook is well done.
So just watching you look through it was daunting.
I know it was daunting, but for somebody who goes through a lot of rulebooks and really enjoys when somebody's on their game, whoever wrote this rulebook,
I will say, like whenever like something occurred, like this happened, Jerry was able to go to that very scenario and find it.
There was only one time where I was griping about, I don't know what does this mean, and then I found it.
It was the doors.
The doors. Like, what is this door? Does it mean this? And it's there it is. I never got on Do I have to get on BGA or look up another rule or ask a question? Yeah. No. This was clear, concise. Okay. Not only was the rule book good, the references were good. The player age was good. This game, somebody who is a gamer, who very, very irritated about the fact that sometimes you make a complicated game and it's very nebulous and people go, oh, what about this or what about that? No. So whoever did this rule book,
they played games.
This is somebody who was really irritated.
Adam Kwapinski.
Good on you. Whoever edited this. I don't know. They often will put the rule book off on somebody else who can convey the information in a way that's like, this is it. Hire this man. Whoever wrote that rule book. They did an excellent job. And the fact that artwork was
Underwater Cities type level.
I'm telling you, I love Underwater Cities.
The rule book's very concise.
And I'm telling you, the artwork on this is fire.
And here's the thing. Jerry painted the minis.
Those minis were fire.
They're gray.
I love them.
But if you can just paint these minis, it's utterly fantastic. So, this game.
It's great.
We play several games. And this is a discussion I had with the RPG, which I guess I need to release.
You do.
We play Guild of Merchant Explorers. We play San Francisco. Those are just your basic board game, your Euros, your roll and rides. When it comes to thematic, I guess Ameritrash, which is a term some people don't care for, but that's the predominant term. When it comes to this thematic theme, Ameritrash, I gotta, even RPGs, I get more invested. I can love this way more than just a dry Euro. So like Nemesis Lockdown is probably automatically in my top 10.
Good
and I got to figure out where it's at because this is an experience that hit home for me. I had more fun. I loved it. And just the creating of the story, just, my God, I haven't had an experience like this since Star Wars Rebellion, which ironically wasn't in my top 25, but I need to remember what I've said here recently, when we played the RPG, of like, you just don't get experiences like that from dry Euros.
I'm trying to think of in terms of narrative games that like produce a story that I'm going to remember. Twilight Imperium, Nemesis, Zaya, of course, Star Wars Rebellion. I'm trying to think of another one off the top of my head. But this level of game that allows the players, such I would describe us as not really being RPG type people. No. We don't play a lot of RPGs. It's not really our thing. But these board games that skirt the edge of like, yes, this is still a board game. Yes, there's all these rules. Yes, you can't just make stuff up and just throw some dice and go down narratively. Here are the rules, but it will let you tell a story. It will produce something quite hilarious in our playing of it, but also very interesting. This rarely have I seen something like this crop up, and I am very pleased with this game.
And it's very sound mechanically. Once Jerry read the rules, like, Jerry had to consult the rules for lots of other stuff, but basically on my turn, I have 2 actions. And to do those actions requires cards. If you're going to do this action that's worth 1 point, You have to play 1 card. If you go to this action that's worth 2 points, you have to play 2 cards. It's very, Race for the Galaxy type of thing like that. Like your cards are your actions.
Yeah.
You have to pay for your action in cards.
It makes sense because in the rooms, there's actions that you can do, but it's all spelled out.
Yeah, it's all on the cards. Like, if I want to search this room, it's on my card that says search. You play that card, you search. If I want to move from this room to that room, it's on my player board. Move costs you 1 action. 1 action is 1 card from your hand. You play that card.
It's very, yeah.
There's some fiddly bits that's where I leave that to the Jerrys of the group, where they've read the rule book and they know, okay, so now we've ended this phase. Now we go through this list of things. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. Like the event phase of this game, to me, was fiddly for me. Not fiddly. That's not the proper term. Complicated.
It seemed very complicated, but that player aid. And once you do it a few times and you kind of know, this game does before I'm going to pass it over to Rike here to ask his opinion here in a second. But what I was going to say before I get off on this tangent is that simply, and I will compare it to movies, where you have these mainstream movies that are cookie cutter and it's the same cliches and the same people and it's the same thing that you've always seen. And then you go watch this independent movie that you've never heard of that's with no name people, and it's like, what in the world did I just watch? This was amazing. I wasn't expecting this. It's very frustrating to me when I see big companies and things of that nature that put out the same old thing, just reskin. But yet Nemesis, which was produced by
Awaken Realm.
So it's a quality company.
They make big stuff.
But it's obviously that they took this game, took the designer's vision of it and said, okay, what do you want to do with this? And they put all their knowledge and the things that have gone wrong in the past and said, this is what you need to avoid. This is how you do a quality rule book. These are the components that people will want. This is how you do a Kickstarter. And these minis, which I enjoy painting, these were, I'm not a good painter, but I enjoy painting. It's very therapeutic.
This needs to be their scythe. They need to, this is their game.
They should push this.
They make offshoots of it, different variations of it. This is their thing.
I have read that, of course, they say you don't need to own both. Like the Nemesis, the original, is a little slightly more complicated and convoluted, and that they kind of fixed it and, all the little fiddly stuff in Nemesis. And they always say you don't need to own both. People, from what I can tell from the reviews of the people who own both or have played it, they tend to lean towards more Lockdown. But this style of game of here's this thing, players play and can compete or do the objectives and survive, and it tells a story. We need more of this. We need more of this type of storytelling. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to say in connection with that, but this it always lends itself to this very strict.
It's like the Twilight. You said the Twilight Imperiums, the Star Wars Rebellion. They're big games that have these thematic elements. This is what I would say. We have, me and Jerry have discussed in personal phone calls to each other.
We make a lot of personal phone calls.
Sometimes we have made the mistake of rating games just generically. I give this game a 10. Here's the thing.
Yeah, you suck at that.
I want to stop doing that because that sucks. Here's the reason. This game, Nemesis Lockdown, thematic enjoyment wise, I give it a 10. Rules barrier wise, I would not touch this without Jerry. That's the thing. I could not touch this. Component wise, a 10.
That's a good game.
Gameplay wise, there's some fiddly elements that I would give it a lower amount thing. So it's like you combine all this crap. So how do you rate a game like that? You can't. You just have to go level by level, components, theme, gameplay, all this crap. So giving it an overall generic point system, now that we've talked about it, I've thought about it, that just, it really can't do it for me.
This came from a conversation that we had regarding Avatar.
Correct.
So Gabi rated the new Avatar movie like a 7.
Mm-hmm.
But in his same ramblings to me, talking about it at a different time, said something regarding that there's no story, didn't like any of the characters, and it was just the visual experience. And I go, well, that's fascinating. You didn't like any of the characters, you didn't like the story, but you rated it a 7. So obviously the experience, the visuals meant so much more. So how do you figure that? And we had this conversation because this is something I always lock myself into is what do you weigh? What is it that you value? So in this game, Nemesis, as in with most board games, I do feel like the components, the artwork, the presentation, the ease of the game, how you learn it, the rule book, that's part of that presentation, and that affects it. I have played some games that were just ugly and had horrible rule books, and it sucks it out of you. It affects your enjoyment of the game. The artwork matters. The theme matters. But overall, if it was just, here's the function of the game, move these cubes around and it be nebulous, there's tons of games that do that work, that the mechanisms work, but they don't tell a story. So this idea about Nemesis, and to Gabi's point regarding how one would rate this game and say this is something you should buy. Number one, if you're a type of individual that likes dry Euros and that's what you enjoy and that's, pushing cubes, I'm the same way. This is probably a game that you're not going to enjoy. If that is all that you focus on, and this is not something that I'm going to rave about and say you need to go pick up. If you're a Ameritrash player, if you like painting minis, if you like games that tell a story, if you're not afraid to sit down and read a rule book and watch a video and go, okay, I'm going to get together 5 people and have this probably a 4 to 5 hour game when you include the teaching on it and have this epic game. If you're a Twilight Imperium type group that you really enjoy those experiences, Nemesis Lockdown is a game you need to own. Just straight up.
So along those lines, and we will throw it to Enrique here shortly.
He's looking at his phone right now.
He's looking at his phone. He's probably on iFunny right now. I was thinking as you were
look at that all the time.
As you were speaking, I was thinking.
I'm glad you were not paying attention.
I was scribbling, but I was also hearing what you said.
I hear you.
I see you, and I hear you.
And I hear you.
We attempted to play Cuba Libre at BGG Con Spring. I would say the rule set for that was similar to this.
Really?
As not the rule reader.
Oh.
But my thing is the presentation is so different. The theme is so different. I have Cuba Libre. I bought it. It's in my collection. I thought I wanted to learn it. Jerry attempted to teach it, but I don't know if it's the cubes, the theme, what. But to me, this seems just as complicated. But I love aliens and I love the minis. How would you compare this to something like Cuba Libre as far as?
Here's the thing, and this is what traps people, and it especially traps people like yourself. So you're the leader of an insurgent group, and you need to manage your money, your resources, moving troops. You don't have a clue. You can't put yourself there. Like, it's so nebulous. It's right. It's so eagle-eyed. It's so from the top down that it's like, I don't know. But when someone says, okay, you're the survivor in this lockdown space station and there's aliens, immediately, every movie you've ever watched, every book you've ever read, every dream you've ever had, everything you've ever kind of played around video game, it all rushes in. And so it's like, okay, so I know what to do. I'm going to move to this room.
I can put myself in that role easily.
And it makes sense. And so what a game will do that to me, no matter how complicated it is, and I love this when this makes sense. And I've seen this in a lot of games where it's a narrative-based game where it says, you need to do this. And I think it was Matt Leacock who said, talking about how when he would do play testing, he would only give the very generalized rule of a game of saying, this is what you need to do. And then the players would set up, and he would just sit and take notes. And he would say that when players would sit and they go, he wouldn't tell them all the rules. He would just say, okay, so you're fighting a virus, and these are your people, and here's your special power, and here's your special power, and then you're going to fight this virus. So you play the game, you have so many actions, do that. When players would have a question, they would say, so wait a minute, how do I travel? How do I go from here to here? He would ask, well, what do you think you should do? And they would go, well, I guess, well, obviously I'll travel adjacently, but I can't just go as far as I want. Do I discard cards and for every card I move a space? Or, well, this card has Argentina on it. Can I discard that card and fly to Argentina? He would ask the playtesters what feels natural. And he would note what felt natural. And so the more time they would be playtested, you had a good feel of the mass majority of people think, well, obviously you're going to move to adjacent areas, but also I might want to be able to discard this card and jump over here. He would write and make the rules that way. How do the people intuit this rule? They make it up in their mind. You're playing a game like Nemesis. I want to go to this room. Okay, go to that room, but you got to roll dice for noise. Okay, so I roll this dice. I have no idea what this dice is. I've never seen it, but I roll the dice and it has a 1 on it. Oh, this quarter has a 1 on it. So what does that mean? Oh, well, that means the noise token that you made. You made noise. You put that there. Oh, okay. I don't have to read you that section of the rule book. It just makes sense. Well, I'm in this room. This room says there's a computer here and activate this. So can I do that? Well, yeah. Well, how do I do that? Well, there's a 2 on it. So you have to discard 2 cards. Oh, okay. It makes sense. If you never touched that rule book, which neither of you did, you still played the game with a very quick explanation because you know what a person surviving in this space station or underground bunker trying to get away from aliens, what am I going to do? I'm going to move here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And this is the key mechanic is this is free. This costs a card. This costs 2 cards. That's the game. That is what I like.
Intuitive.
It is intuitive that I don't have to go, okay, I want to vent the room. Well, you have to roll this dice, and you have to do this check, and you have to do this thing, and you have to do this.
So that's what I was going to say. So, like, each room in this game has a whole different set of rules that you will have to consult a book for. But the actions to get to that room, to activate that room, to fight whatever, are very basic.
Very similar and very intuitive. Like,
you have 2 actions. Yeah. This is what you do to do them.
Which is what I appreciate. And it's obvious that somebody play tested this game to death with a bunch of people who all watch Aliens and Game Over, man, and said, what do you think you need to do? Well, what do you think the rules should be? Well, if I roll this dice, there should cause noise. And it's that simple. And that's what I like about when I play a game that obviously the agenda wasn't to make a game that's cookie cutter and that it works. It was to make a game that was intuitive for the players and was cutting away all the fat so that you could just have a very streamlined narrative experience. Yes, it's very heavy, but once you get there, you're there. We could box this game up and a year from now, open it up, lay it out. I could briefly go through the rule book and we could play the same game. Because it makes that much sense once you get over that hump. You just need somebody to get through the rule book, watch one video, and you're good. So that's to me is it. Rarely have I played a game again that is this narrative, and I don't regret buying this game. It was on a whim. It's something I have looked at for quite some time, and quite frankly, I bought this game with the purpose of I hadn't paid in minis in a long time. And I needed a reason. And I had moved, and I wanted a game that was something that would get me back to painting and something that would get me back to solo gaming.
Motivation, you might say.
No, not motivation. Because I needed something that was like, this is a game that I know we are going to want to play. I'm not going to be able to say, hey, Gobby, I bought this. That's not that. Like, why did you buy that? Like saying, no, I bought Nemesis. Okay, well, we want to play that. Let's set a date. That date's going to make me learn the rules. It's going to make me set it up. I soloed the game. Didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
Didn't like it solo.
Do you play multi-hand? Like, there's 3 different players?
Nope,
play all of them?
Nope, one guy. Get out of the base.
Oh, that sucks.
Don't like it. Because the key component is the mechanics of the game aren't that great.
Okay, so it's just the interaction.
Yeah, the mechanic of the game is not that great. This is literally if that's why I got you prefacing this with if you're a Euro player and your
mechanics not that great.
And it's fine. It works. The game is very functional, but it's not the mechanics that make it wonderful.
Enrique,
yes.
Words.
Are you here?
I guess
he's been here the whole time. He's very patient.
You guys have covered everything. I'm pretty sure.
You have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say.
How was your experience as the first person killed and expelled from this game?
Even though it was very short, and I would like to play again to get a longer experience.
We need Bubba.
But I very much enjoyed the game.
I could tell you were enjoying.
Why did you enjoy the game?
Just because I was by myself, mainly. I was down there by myself, doing whatever I needed to do. And it was, I was making a lot of poor choices.
You made a lot of poor choices.
I made a lot of poor choices.
I tried to vent you out there a lot.
And I was trying to figure out how to get myself out very quickly.
It is strangely that you stayed at the very bottom level, and as soon as you tried to go up the stairs, you died. You never left the bottom level.
I was going to explore that entire bottom level.
And you almost did, except the one room that you desperately needed you didn't find.
He was one step away.
I was going to go in that room too, but I saw it was in a corner, which would have screwed me over.
Nobody puts baby in a corner. Plus, you had almost been vented several times.
Yes.
My bad, bro.
Vented.
Can I say, real quick?
You can. We give you permission.
Painting minis.
I love it. Except if they're the Bryants.
If you can...
Sorry,
Brian Aldrich, he will paint your size minis at some point.
I promise.
He's Swarth-bound.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Swarth-bound. Jerry had painted... Like, it is so much more thematic. As opposed to just... If we had just had... And that's another thing. Like, everything to this style of game adds to it. If they had been all just gray
I would have lost my character.
I don't know that I would have cared so much. But Jerry had painted these so viciously.
I was vicious.
Like, the queen was legitimately... Like... I'm just thinking about it, I'm like really getting like, my God, Jerry, you did a fantastic job.
I got in trouble painting these minis.
How so?
So I had recently got my kids into painting minis.
Oh no.
So I have had several just cheap minis I've purchased, and I'm like, I want my daughter, who really is into crafting and things of that nature.
She's going to paint Brian's minis, isn't she?
Oh, yeah. Well, so I was like, hey, I need you to like, can you prime these doors? It's like, you just slap primer on them for me. That's all I need. Okay. And so she does that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm going to show you how to mix paint. So I mix up some gray. Can you paint these doors for me? You know, all the various. And so as we're sitting here painting, we are actually going through talking about stuff, and I'm painting these aliens. She's like, I want to paint one of them aliens. I was like, well, yeah, I'll show you how. So I'm like, I'm trapping her into painting, and I'm like, so this is how you dry brush, and da, 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 da. And so after we get done, I like have these, and I'm looking online and finding different pictures of how other people paint them. When I get to a point, I'm like, this is the point that I really enjoy, which is the detailing of them, which is the flocking of the base and the putting stuff that you stand out, and it's like the blood and the things and the goo and whatever you want that kind of like draws the eyes. And so I buy a lot of technical paint that's from Citadel Paint, and they do these technical line of paint. So it is literally paint from the 40K universe that has all these weird names. And one of my favorite is the technical paint for the blood that you paint that has this weird resin type feel for it. And it looks very neat. And it's called Blood for the Blood God. Mm-hmm. That's the name of it. And so Kay is over there and she says, hey, so we're going to paint this? She's like, that's cool. I was like, yeah. So here's what you do. Just paint this door with blood. Just paint it with stuff and make it look really nasty. She says, what's this paint called? I said, well, it's Blood for the Blood God. It's weird. It's super weird. So just paint it. Just paint it. So she's sitting there painting stuff. And so later.
Just a sprinkling.
So I'm at the dinner table and here's all these, and I'm just putting stuff on there, and Kay comes over and here comes my wife. And she just pops over. It's like, what are you doing? Kay says, I'm putting some And she just said, my wife's like, what? She says, oh, yeah, you got to put some blood on this door here. See, this is pool of blood. And I'm like, oh. Okay. And my wife says, what do you do? And I said, this is, I'm like, honey, look. They need to know. It's like sometimes. And so it's very, and so it got me back into this because it's like, I like painting weird, just anything, just anything. And it's nice to paint. And Kate, like, specifically, my daughter asked me, like, I want to paint something that is...
She's like, I need more blood.
Well, she was asking for something that was... I forget, she asked for something very specific. And I told her we'd get on Miniature Market and find, when they go on sale. Because you can just buy these random minis of various things. But it's like the principle of how you paint a mini. And my minis are not... I'm not good. Like, every time I paint a mini, I'm looking online and I'm finding these people who are professional. And I'm going, I'm going to try to paint like that. And I can't do it. But I'm so past that whole of being self-conscious and just trying. I just want it done because when it's that just nasty gray, it's awful. So anyways, that's what I would say to people. And so Gabi, yes, he just stepped outside because he had to go to the bathroom. Okay. Anyways, so he ran out of the room very suddenly because as you may not know, but as men get older, urgency, bladder incontinence is a thing. Okay. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It happens. Shamed?
There we go.
Shouldn't be. No shame.
Okay.
We don't shame on this podcast.
Sometimes.
This particular episode's gone for like an hour and a half.
Yes, almost 2 hours.
And we cut out 20 minutes about my treasure. But that's okay. I'm not angry about that.
I feel like we could come across that again one day.
One day. Not today is not that day. But when Gabi edits this episode, he'll no doubt listen to this part and he'll realize that I had a topic of something that I want us to do. And you're going to have to be a part of this.
Okay.
I want to do... So traditionally, this time of year, we always do our top 10.
Yeah.
And every year, we always did a top 10. So we're getting close to the time where we generally do our top 10. Or what we did last year, which was a top 25 or whatever. I actually would like to try something a little bit different because I've had some various variety of things take place here recently. I would like for us to do what we used to refer to as a Bubba Top 5. I would like for us to do a Bubba Top 10. Meaning that you do a top 10 list of things that you just liked this year. Doesn't have to be board gaming related, just top 10 things, not in any particular order, of any random thing you enjoyed, from a video game to a movie to a hobby you've taken up to a book you've heard to something that you just want to do that's random. Because I think that variety, number one, especially when it comes to board gaming, one can get very locked into this one hobby. I think it's important to kind of spread your wings a little bit. So I think we need to piece together our top 10 whatever.
I would say make that a Bubba Top 5 plus 5 other things.
I don't want to do Bubba Top 5. Bubba Top 5 is confusing.
I don't like having to pick out the art of a board game.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's why I just say top 10 of whatever.
But that can be a basis of what we choose, though. So it's like games,
whatever.
Books.
Just whatever. Top 10 whatever. You just do whatever you want.
A top 10 whatever.
Top 10 whatever. Yes. Not meaning that you pick a top 10 of a subject you pick.
It's basically top 10 of things that you have greatly enjoyed within the year.
Yeah. Just something. It doesn't have to be in order either. It's just like 10 things.
It's like, hey, I completed this game. Like,
Scattershot 10.
Just something.
Buckshot 10. Go ahead, Andrea.
But yeah, it can be anything. It could be like, oh, hey, I finally completed a game that I stopped playing 2 years ago. And I finally completed because I was stuck on this level and I got frustrated.
You finally you beat Minecraft. Just say it. You beat Minecraft.
No, I won't say it.
Whatever. He beat the cannon level on Super Mario Bros.
The cannon level?
All the cannon heads coming at you. That was a tough one.
That wasn't.
You've forgotten what 1989 was like, haven't you?
Please.
Look at you with your place of privilege from 2023.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was doing all the Battletoads. I was legit.
Mega Man was tough.
Mega Man didn't hold nothing to me. I loved Mega Man.
Mega Man was good, but it was tough.
It wasn't tough. I had mad. You know why? It's easy to play Mega Man when you a Sigma man, when you an Alpha man. You know what I'm saying? Alpha. I like Mega Man. That's a vitamin.
Oh, my apologies.
I'm telling you
for the
right now,
coughing.
this episode's gone long, and I don't know why. You know why it went long?
Because of your long story that got redacted and then canceled out and then overtold.
Because I'm Sigma.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm above Alpha.
Is Sigma above Alpha?
Yeah, you know that.
I don't know
I swear,
Greek. I don't know Greek.
You don't know nothing.
I don't know Greek.
You know this. You don't know the salad. Yeah, that's what Sigma males do. We belittle people. If you a Sigma male, you belittle people. You make them feel worthless. That way it makes you feel better.
Because you're salad jokes.
Because I ate that Stilton. Are you okay?
I'm calculating.
You're calculating what? You look like you're about to pass
out. His eyes were
closed,
and he was like in a trance.
What are you doing?
I was just calculating.
What are you calculating?
Just like how many years I've been playing video games.
How many?
Forever.
Yeah, forever.
How many?
Stop. What's the first game you remember playing?
Sly Cooper.
You are
Wait, what?
Sly Cooper?
Yeah, Sly Cooper.
On PlayStation 1.
2.
I've never heard of that game.
Well, it's because you're old. What's your first game?
Well, okay, speaking of old, Pong. Sorry. The battle tanks on Pong where you boom. Yeah.
Now I'm
the ice racing games on the Pong thing where you had the little controller and you had a little race car and he was on ice and he could drift.
Did you have the joystick or did you have the little twisty
I had the little twisty knob.
I like the twisty knob.
It was cool.
So I'm torn because my mother won a Nintendo when it first came out. There was a drawing at Walmart. So we had a skateboard game, Duck Hunt, and Super Mario Brothers. So I remember the Mario Brother. I remember Mario Brothers being the first, but I'm pretty sure, I think the first game was actually Joust, where you fly on the ostrich and you joust on the Atari.
Well, I didn't have an Atari. My friends had an Atari, so I played the classic Pong, Pac-Man, all that stuff. My first console I owned was the Nintendo.
Right.
Because I went to my friend's house, I played Super Mario, and my brain was blown away.
I regret I had the original Metal Gear Solid Metal Gear and could not. There was like
That's like PlayStation, right?
No.
Metal Gear Solid?
No.
Was that OG Nintendo?
OG Nintendo, yes.
What, Metal Gear
Metal
Solid?
Gear. If you're not the Metal Gear.
Because I know
Super Nintendo, maybe.
No.
That was on the OG Nintendo.
Hang on one
We need Trevor Franklin for a Retro Bliss podcast to figure this one out.
No, you don't. You just look at it right there. Metal Gear NES. I had that. The guy off of Aliens 2, which they stole his likeness. That game was awesome.
It was released for the system in Japan and parts of Europe in 1987.
1987,
Wow.
baby. That was legit. Old school.
Okay, I did not play that.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I played...
You're too busy playing Siphon Filter.
I played... Ooh, no. Siphon.
Yeah. Ramirez.
I loved me some Siphon Filter on PlayStation.
I made a joke the other day by kids. So I bought them a Wii because I want them bowl, basically.
Your kids?
My kids.
Okay.
I have children. I procreate. And so one of the, like eBay, I ended up buying the Smash Brothers. I've never played Smash Brothers.
I haven't either.
I have no idea. But it has all the NES people on there, all the Nintendo people. So my son is playing, and his favorite character is Snake.
Snake Plissken?
Snake. Metal Gear.
Oh.
And so he's playing and he goes, "Who's Snake?" Because he knows Mario. He's like, "Is Snake in the game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he is." And it's like,
it's above your age range.
It's above your age. Yeah, one of these days. And my little case, and she's like, "Who's this pink guy?" I said, "That's Kirby." "Is he in a game?" I was like, "Yeah, he's in a game." And I felt like slowly, I'm like,
Kirby was like Q-Bird level, wasn't he?
No, he was in NES. He's Super Nintendo. Kirby was, and so then it came out Star Fox. So you can get emulators and things of that nature, but I had the old Star Fox still on like the DS. I'm like, you have to play Star Fox because I'm a big Star Fox fan. And so it just dawned on me how big of a gap there is where they have no idea who these people are, like who these characters are. And literally one day, Jack is telling me he unlocked this blue guy, and I'm like, I got to see who you're talking about. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm upset because there's been movies recently. We've not watched them. I was like, you don't know who Sonic is?
I hear they're good, even though I haven't watched them either.
I was like, and I'm trying to explain who Sonic the Hedgehog, because I used to read the comic books. I read the Sonic.
Archie Comics produced those.
Yes, they did. They were not great. They were not great. And they were, quite frankly, just kind of, they got to a point they were so boring, they had to like jump the shark a little bit and kill off, spoiler alert, like the major villain. Like they went deep pretty quick.
Wow.
And yeah. And so it's weird where you have all these things that you know about that's just you think is commonplace.
Contra and Metroid, weren't they similar style, like side-scrollers?
Contra was rough.
I liked Contra. Was that with the two guys that would jump?
Jumping.
What was the difference between Metroid? Was it not the same thing?
Metroid, yeah, similar.
I always get Metroid and Contra confused.
That whole side-scrolling thing where something shooting at you. They did that. That's like something now. Like, is it Cup? You don't know PC games, but Cuphead.
Oh, yeah, I know Cuphead.
That's very popular. They brought back that genre of side-scrolling thing. They brought back River City Ransom. If you've not played River City Ransom,
I've not played River City Ransom.
If you don't know playing 2-player and picking your friend up and using him as a weapon, you don't know, like literally throwing him over people thinking, yeah. He's like, yeah, River, yeah. Yeah.
How long is this episode?
Almost 2 hours.
When I edit out everything interesting that I said, probably 20 minutes. But all
What's
your
it right
puns,
now?
it's an hour and a half. We need to shut this off.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. This is a long episode.
Well, it's a long game we played.
We
it was
should
a good
lock
game.
it down.
It was worthy.
With 30
Gummy
minutes.
Moraga saying no, call back to the title. That was harsh. I'm very sorry. I hope it hurt your feelings because you hurt me so freaking deeply.
I've already apologized.
Where's my gold?
I've already apologized.
I'm not going to lie, apology isn't going to work.
I'm a gold digger. Kanye.
You know what? What?
Kanye West, the song Gold Digger.
I know.
Do you not know Kanye?
I do know Kanye.
Who is he?
I have a serious question. You may know this because you're tied into stuff.
I'm on TikTok.
Yeezy.
Mm-hmm.
What's the shoes? Are those shoes?
They are shoes,
Yes.
and that's what he called himself, I thought.
So no, I'm serious. I mean, that's the name of the shoes he produces.
They were
Yes.
Yeezys, yes.
Okay, making sure. Because I was confused.
I think he called himself Yeezus.
I'm not going to lie. I really thought that was a serious question.
No, I'm 100% real.
No, are you
He
no.
pretty much thinks of himself quite a bit. Just saying. I think he called himself Yeezus. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We've covered a variety of things. We've discussed Nemesis Lockdown in great detail. Fantastic game. Super thematic. You'll probably hate it if you don't like, if you're a Euro fan or you can't handle reading in-depth rules to the extent that the Jerry types do, which I'm of that type. You have to have someone like that playing, reading those rules, playing it with you. Fantastic thematic RPG stylish board game. I'm Gabi.
This is Jerry. Say the thing!
Oh, this is Enrique.
Thank you for tolerating this episode of the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.